This is Evoke by Craig Petty, a new mentalism trick and probably the most hyped up product of 2024 so far. Is this worth all the hype and is it right for you? How much magic is hiding behind these motivational cards? Stick around to find out. Let's do a quick performance of one of the tricks with Evoke. Have you ever seen one of these emotional quotes or inspirational quotes on Instagram or somewhere like that where it's saying, never give up on your dreams, persevere, keep going, something like that on Instagram when you're scrolling through? Guess what? Companies are now starting to make cards built off these quotes. Like we've got wonderful emotions like zest, yuck, xenophobia, upset, just some wonderful emotions, rage, quitting, all that stuff. I'd try something with an audience. I'd have them just, as I go through one of these cards, just touch one. Like, let's say that. And I'd want them to imagine like they're looking through a door frame and they're actually losing track of their mind and they can't even think anymore. And everything I say is just mush. And once that's done, I'd have them try to read what that card says. Read the emotion on that card. And I promise you, they could look at it forever. They would never be able to say what that card says. And it's weird because you guys, if I show the camera, you guys can read exactly what it says. But my volunteer would not be able to read it for his life. So here's what we'll try. I'd say, the card, you looked at the card, you could see the letters, it just didn't make sense. It had an I and an N and a D and a C, and they'd say yes because they saw those letters. They actually saw it on the card. There was an N as well, right? There was a D. You saw all those letters, but you just couldn't form the word in your head. And this works 100% of the time. 100% of the time. Then I say, imagine that all the letters are now coming together in your brain when I snap my fingers. And now they can read the word very clearly. And it's indecision. And that's just one of the many effects you can do with Evoke by Craig Petty. That is one of the many effects you can do with Evoke by Craig Petty. I hope you enjoyed that performance. This plays really well in a large crowd. And first of all, I'd like to let all magic distributors or creators know if you want me to review your product, just contact me at beafanmail@gmail.com. I also do free magic monthly giveaways and all you have to do to be eligible is smash that subscribe button. Now, without further ado, let's discuss Evoke by Craig Petty. What do you get when you buy it? When you buy Evoke, you will get this very nice box and it's a slider. Inside the box, you will get a box of these 27 motivational cards. The box is specially designed to help you out with the effect. The 27 motivational cards are printed on USPCC stock. I think they're very nice, but we'll talk more about that later. The cards have a ton of special features, including being able to take your audience's ability to read and having your audience's emotions be shrunk down. The one where you make your audience unable to read is very similar to an effect called 100 Monkey by Chris Pilfont, but the method is completely different and a bit more primitive. These cards are essentially supposed to be a deck full of inspirational effects or quotes by famous celebrities. Finally, and most importantly, you'll receive the link to the Murphy's Magic tutorial, which we'll talk about soon. What is the quality of the gimmick? There are no moving parts with this. Phil Smith helped design the deck, and it's so extremely well designed and there are so many components and information that this system will allow you to do. One thing I noticed is that for certain people, the components or part of the system will be a bit difficult to see. Because, well, I can't go too deep into the method, but the system is different than what you might be used to. The letters look a little different. That's all I can say. Not because you need good eyesight. You don't. But because some of the pieces of the system look similar to each other. Especially if you only look at it for a second. But the deck is very durable. There's no moving parts. The cards have a ton of hidden effects you can do built into the words and the cards. You can do so much with this. Also, someone who doesn't know the method can look at these cards all day and not find anything. Without seeing a card's face, you are able to know the emotion, whether the image is what the image is, whether the emotion's positive or negative, and much more. Some of these effects you will need to provide a Sharpie or a billet or a post-it note, but many of them only involve this box of cards. How is the tutorial? In typical Craig Petty fashion, the tutorial is extreme. It's over 9 hours of tuition. It's insane for all of the 9 volumes. The audio and video is very clear. The video is streamable and downloadable. For the first volume, Craig goes through the intro, history, and concept, what's included, and the overview of the methods. He talks about the mother of all book tests, which is built into the cards. And in volume 2, Craig's with Peter Turner. They teach the Evoke switchout, ESP color match, Evoke prediction, and much more. I really enjoyed the color match because it's a great take on the original ESP match where you match the symbols with your spectator symbols. Pete gives a lot of insight with this effect. There are so many ideas that you can do with this. Even ones that go way beyond the tutorial. For example, the effect that takes away your audience's reading would be a great effect to lead into a hypnotic induction for your spectator. In volume 3, Peter teaches even more, including the Evoke snowball out of this world and Pete's other Evoke ideas. Again, these are some effects that are usually done with a regular deck of cards, ungimmicked deck of cards. But using this deck allows for so many more ideas that are usually done with a deck of cards. But with this, it's much more powerful because the audience can actually connect with it. In volume 4, Peter Nardi does an intro and teaches many effects, including divination, poker deal, oil and water, ESP match, liar's poker, Evoke word match, Evoke peak wallet, Evoke gossip, and some effects including different tricks that aren't included with the Evoke project, like Craig Petty's effect with Alakazam gossip. In volume 5, Craig teaches an emotional prediction and an alternate handling, a remote viewing, a drawing duplication, emotional forecast, feeling emotional, and emotional association, which are all very cool routines. In volume 6, he teaches shuffle routines, tossed out deck variations, the biddle trick, emotionally ambitious, stupid principle prediction, and stupid principle comedy reveal. Volume 7 is emotional triumph, jazz emotions, the last trick of Doc Daly, swindled, and swapped emotions. Volume 8 is even more tricks, and volume 9 is where Ian Rowland helps Craig Petty teach Evoke cold reading, the pinprick force, spectator finds love, 3 steps telepathy, emotional intelligence, and much more. There are tons of effects taught in the tutorial, and I've heard some people talking about if the power of the effects are really that strong. And they were saying the effects are only okay. Do you know what I think? Some of the effects in the project are definitely stronger than others. There are a good few that incorporate some of the most powerful things that you can do with mentalism, such as taking someone's reading. That is so crazy because even though everyone else can see what's written on the cards or the typing, the letters on the cards, they can't name the word, and it's very powerful. This is a massive project. I won't use all of those effects, and that's a given, but people who say that all of these effects are just miracles, they're just wrong. At least that's my opinion. There are some extremely powerful punches that are packed into this deck of cards. And when I first saw this, I was a little concerned that people would see this as a very unnatural item, because no one's seen inspirational, motivational cards before. But I did some digging online for something similar to this, and they actually exist. I found some post-it notepads online that are meant to keep you going and have some inspirational, motivational words. So if you bring this in and explain something that people can relate to, like, have you ever scrolled through Instagram and seen one of those motivational quotes? Well, I have a full deck of them. If you say something like that, these cards will not be suspected at all. Trust me. I've worked this at my most recent gig and at Magi Fest, and it did really well, and no one suspects a thing. This is a very natural object, and no one will ever say, hey, those are trick cards. And if they do, you can have that deck examined. But don't worry, we'll talk more about that later. Are there lighting restrictions with this? There shouldn't be any lighting restrictions, but you'll need to have enough lighting to see the details on the back of the cards. That's not too much light required, but this could be done This couldn't be done in extremely dark environments. There is nothing that could flash because of the lighting. There's no threads, magnets, rough and smooth, or anything like that. Because the cards are just specially printed. No moving parts. Now, is this a social media or real life effect? There are many tricks you can do with this, but it's not really a social media effect because it's more of a mentalism effect. And it works way better in person. So what are the angles like? The angles for this completely depend on the routine you're doing. For most of the routines, you can be pretty much completely surrounded. But for others, like if you're doing a billet peak in conjunction with this, you won't want people directly behind you. The angles are pretty good in general. Almost 360 degrees for most effects. But for taking away the reading, you won't want anyone else seeing what the audience or what that one person who can't read anymore is seeing. You will want no one behind you except that one person. Are there live performances? Yes, there are multiple live performances in the tutorial, as expected in a Craig Petty release. Is this examinable? The deck is completely examinable, and so is the box. The spectator can look at the cards for a long time and not see the method, even though it's very apparent for you. However, at the start of a couple of the effects, like the one where you take your spectator's ability to read, you won't want to hand the deck out to the audience. That's a no-go. There will be a couple of gaff cards in the deck to ditch before handing the deck out if you do those two tricks where you shrink the card or you take away the audience's ability to read. If you don't do the gaffed card tricks, there's nothing to ditch, and therefore the deck is examinable at all phases of the routine. Now that we know about the examinability, how difficult is this to do, and how practical is it? This depends on the routine or effect you're performing. If you want to do the color matching ESP routine, that takes minimal practice, for example. Others are more advanced, however. You'll want to learn a false shuffle as well. Learning the system of the cards themselves are easy, but you'll need to get used to it as it's a bit unusual. It's not something that you'll know intuitively. Well, maybe for some people, but the letters, if I can say that, the markings, they aren't completely intuitive. Craig goes through those a lot in the tutorial, but it'll take definitely some practice. If you go through everything, all the cards 3 times, you should be good. The effects require absolutely no memory work, and most of the difficulty is getting the pattern down perfectly. Some of the effects, for those, it helps to know a classic force and some other things, but those are easy to do. This is also very practical. There are many effects that don't require a table in this project, and this will work in many venues: stage, close-up, parlor, walk around, cocktail magic, and it works in almost any venue. So I hope that Craig can make bigger versions of these cards so it could play more into a stage show. However, with the cards being so small and the fact there's only 30, This is very practical and a great EDC for a magician and a mentalist. Is there any DIY? No, there's no DIY at all. Pocket space. Well, pocket space, all you have to carry around in your pocket is the deck of about 30 cards. It's much thinner than a deck of bicycle or poker playing cards, because those have 54 cards, but these only have 30. Some of the effects need billets or post-it notes as well. However, the pocket space is really small. And especially for mentalists, this is gold because most of them already carry billets in their pocket. And you can do a lot of tricks that use only this deck of cards or only the playing cards from this deck. And it takes up so little space. What is the reset like? Again, this depends on the trick you're going to do. For most of the effects, the reset is either very quick or instant, or it can be done in front of the audience. However, for certain tricks where you have your spectator shuffle the deck, then the reset's a bit more, it's a bit more complicated. But you could still do it in front of your audience if you know how to clean up properly. Now, let's see if the ad copy is honest. The ad copy on penguinmagic.com states the following. Evoke is a master key that can unlock deep emotional connections with your audience instantly, with ease. Mentalism with playing cards at the best of times can be hard for your audience to connect with. That's true. You can't really use playing cards for mentalism. But if you change the card values for strong and emotive words and phrases, then you instantly plug in a direct line to their heartstrings, and they instantly become your secret weapon. For example, using Evoke, you can turn a basic card peek or reveal and supercharge it into something deep and powerful. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Quote, I genuinely believed that you have solved the problem of playing cards in mentalism, because if you use the Evoke deck, you can basically do any card trick, any sleight of hand, and it will have a mentalism edge to it that will completely transform it into anything now. This is an amazing achievement. Mark Paul. That's a Mark Paul quote, and so far, pretty honest. This was designed by Phil Smith. He's built in a devious peak system that's woven innocently into the back design of each and every playing card. A secret system that only you can read. Once you know the secret, you'll never miss it. But those who don't, they'll never find it. Every single playing card will covertly deliver you the following information in one swift glance. Peak info, emotion word, black or white or color. Which image? Moab word. Next emotion in stack. Yeah, it tells you everything. If you just look at one of these cards, I know what this card is. I know what the picture is. I know if it's a positive or negative emotion. I know if the picture's black or white. And I know the next card in the stack. So if you looked at this, you would never find anything. You can look at the back design all you want. You'll never find anything. And also you'll know the quote author of this, which is very cool, very cool. So there's tons of information built into these cards, and the system is so clever. The deck does all the work for you, but it's not just basic information printed onto the cards. Craig's entwined new and old, criminally clever magic principles throughout the entire deck that will make your audience genuinely believe that you can read their thoughts. Quote, people might not always remember what you did, but they remember how you made them feel. Mark Spellman. Principles, peaks, and Peters. It wouldn't be a Craig Petty project if we didn't line up a dream team of collaborators. First, we have Peter Nardi, world-renowned mentalist, famed for his ability to create commercial yet stunning mentalism that anyone can do, but no one can figure out. and he's here to share with you his favorite tricks he performs using Evoke. If that wasn't enough, Craig called in every favor and pulled every string he could get, pulled every string he could to get Peter Turner to sit down for a few hours and share a gold mine of knowledge, ideas, and tricks. Many mentalists consider Peter Turner to be one of the best living mentalists and certainly on the Mount Rushmore of mentalism creators. What Peter Turner shares is literally worth the price of the project on its own. Period. That's very honest so far. And one more thing that it says, there's one more thing in the ad copy. It states that for a lot of people, this may be their first foray into mind reading. Evoke is the perfect stepping stone to try proper mentalism. Peeking a card is easy, but maybe the thought of cold reading might be daunting. But we've got you. Because in the tutorial, we brought in the man that literally wrote the book on cold reading, Ian Rowland. That's true. The mentalism session with Ian Rowland, I found so much value in that, and I'm ready to try cold reading. And I did it a couple of times on a couple strangers when I was at Magic Fest, non-magicians, and they absolutely freaked out because how could I have that knowledge? Cold reading allows you to have knowledge of your spectator's life that they think that you should have no idea about. And that's what this project will allow you to do. That's just one of the things. And also, back to the ad copy. Don't ask us how, but Craig managed to sit down with Ian Rowland at the Magic Circle UK headquarters and film a 2-hour maestro class on cold and warm reading, specifically using the Evoke deck, the likes of which you've never seen before. We won't tell you any more about it. This is very, very special addition to the project is reserved only for those who own Evoke. That's a very thorough ad copy. It really does tell you everything you need to know about the trick. It lays down the information very clearly, and it's an honest ad copy. There's nothing that's dishonest there. What is the price of Evoke by Craig Petty? Evoke by Craig Petty costs $40 US. You get the deck of motivational, special printed cards, the box, and tons of routines in the tutorial for a mentalist or a magician. This is so well worth the price because it fits the majority of performing styles, and not just mentalists, but also magicians. I thought this would be $50 or more when George from Murphy's sent me the ad copy and stuff. But really, it's only $40. And it's worth so much more than that. Being honest, even the tutorial alone, there's gold in here. Gold nuggets, not just for mentalists, but also magicians. Even if you're on the fence about this one, the price is just so low that you should just get it for the theory. This will be an amazing effect for you, even if you're not a mentalist. And if you are a mentalist, this will be a dream effect for you, because this deck can assist you with cold readings, hypnosis, inductions, and so much more. You can do tons with this. And it's not just like the throwaway tricks. There's a lot of powerful tricks with this. The pros and cons. The pros are there are so many tricks taught. The tutorial is just amazing. The price is a bargain. And it's not just for mentalists, it's also for magicians too. The system is so well hidden and they will never find it. This is perfect for all skill levels. There are no moving parts. The deck is very durable, well printed. Lots of design went into the making of the card box and design, and you can get so much information about the whole deck without even looking at the face of the cards. This is crazy. The cons. The cons are that this system will definitely take some time to make intuitive for some people. And also, if you have really, really bad eyes, you will not be able to see the system. I can see it I can see it across the room, even if it's all the way over there. Well, maybe not all the way across the room, but I can see it from 8 meters out. I can see it. I know because I did. This was devious. At MagiFest with a bunch of other guys, I was standing meters away from the Evoke deck of cards. They were selling it in the dealer room, actually. I had someone cut to a card and look at, or cut the deck and memorize the bottom card. And just by looking at that, I could see the markings from meters away. I think I have pretty good eyesight, so you might not be able to see it from 8 meters away, but you could see this from far, all the way across a room, especially if you have good eyesight. What percent does this get? This trick gets a 99%. It is wonderful, and there is so much you can do with this, no matter what your skill set is and what type of magic you do. This is for everyone, even if you never end up using it, which I doubt that most people wouldn't get at least something out of this project. This, you could do routines and routines with this. You could do, I think if you did all the possibilities, you could do an hour-long show with this if you really wanted to, if you wanted to stretch it out. I think that's a bit of overkill if you did that, but this is such a good project. Hats off to Craig. You can see how much work went into this, and I'm not just saying that. You can, the 9+ hour tutorial speaks for itself. The packaging, the box, the markings, the system, all of it. Craig just did an amazing job with. So check this out, pick it up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.